Welcome back to the channel, guys. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can build an AI phone agent that you can actually call and talk to, and it has a real-time avatar that lip syncs while it speaks. We're going to be using Video SDK for the telephony, which lets us make and receive real phone calls, Gemini 2.5 Flash for the AI brain, which handles a conversation using native audio so it sounds natural, and Anam AI for the avatar. It takes the agent's voice and lip syncs it onto a realistic avatar in real time. The way it works is you call the phone number, have a conversation with the AI agent on your phone, and in the browser, you can see the avatar talking back to you. And it's going to be a very simple setup process. Let me show you what it looks like, and then I'll walk you through exactly how it's set up. And let's see if it picks up.
Hello, I'm your real-time assistant. How can I help you today?
Hi there, can you just tell me a joke, please?
Sure. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything.
That's funny. And can you tell me a fun fact about California?
Did you know California has both the highest and lowest points in the contiguous United States?
Can you tell me a fun fact about New York?
Sure. The Statue of Liberty was a gift from France and was originally a dull copper color before it turned green over time.
Got it. And my last question would be, can you define machine learning in simple terms for me because I'm a beginner?
Machine learning is like a computer that learns from experience. It identifies patterns to make predictions or decisions without being explicitly programmed.
Now I'm going to walk you through what's actually happening underneath the hood. So when you run the Python script, the first thing it does is register your agent with Video SDK. It says, hey, I'm telephony agent, I'm online and ready to take calls. Now when you dial the phone number, the call hits the phone network, goes to Video SDK's telephony platform, and Video SDK sees that this number is routed to my telephony agent, so it sends a job assignment to your Python agent. Your agent connects to the meeting room, and at the same time, it spins up the avatar session. Now the playground URL pops up in your terminal. That's where you'll see the avatar in the browser. So now the call is live. You speak into your phone, that audio streams through Video SDK to your Python agent, and the agent sends it to Gemini 2.5 Flash. Gemini processes it and sends back an audio response. Here's where it gets cool. Two things happen at once. The audio response goes back through Video SDK to your phone, so you hear the agent talking. And that same audio gets sent to Anam, which lip syncs the avatar in real time in the browser. So your phone is the conversation, the browser is the visuals. One agent, two outputs. Let's jump into the code. First, you want to open up an environment where you can begin coding. This is known as an IDE or an integrated development environment. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using Cursor, but you can also use something like VS Code. I'll show you how to install one of those really quickly. So Google Cursor, and it'll usually be the first link. And once you go to their website, you just click the download button right here if you have a Mac, or if you don't have a Mac, you can click this one on the top right. So I already have mine downloaded and installed, but you can pause the video now and do that, and I'll head over to Cursor. Now in Cursor, we want to open up a brand new project. So click this button that says Open Project, and I'm going to click on New Folder, and I'll call this Video Agent, and I'll click Create, and open that. And this is the interface you're going to see. These are where we're going to see our files and our code. Here's the tab that you can prompt the Cursor agent, and then this is for Cursor agents. But let's clean this up a little bit before we begin. So go to the top left right here and toggle the agent sidebar. You can hide the chat by pressing Command I, and then press Command B so that we'll be able to see what files we have here. Finally, pull the terminal up by pressing Control \. That is on Mac. Now we're ready to begin coding and setting up our environment. Back in our browser, Video SDK Docs, and we want this first link right here. On the top menu, head over to Telephony. We're going to be going to this AI Telephony Agent Quick Start. So don't worry, I'll walk you through this whole document step by step. We're going to start right here with the prerequisites, then get into step 1. First, we need to make sure we have Python installed and a Video SDK account, which you can make for free. To install Python, you can just run this brew install command. We're going to be installing version 3.12. So I'm going to click enter. Now I already have that installed, which it tells me right here, and we are up to date. Now let's go sign up for a Video SDK account. So on these docs, if you just scroll up to the top, you can click on try it for free, and this is going to take you to a new window, or a new tab, excuse me. You can choose any of the ways to sign up. I've already created an account, but it's very easy to do so. You just continue with email and input your name, and you should be logged in. I'm going to click continue with email and input the email I used. like so. I'm going to click send a magic link, and I'm going to take care of this login process, and I'll see you guys once I'm done. So now I've logged in with my account, but we need to head back to those docs, video SDK docs once again. And once again, it's telephony and AI telephony agent quick start. Okay, so let's scroll down a little bit. The first step is we need to get the AI agent running on our machine, so we're going to build this locally. More specifically, we are going to make this .env file to store our keys, and then add a couple of credentials. So let's copy this and then head back to our code. So to create this file, we can just run touch.env in the terminal, and we can see that file appeared in our upper right directory. Now what we're going to do is paste in those placeholder values that we got from the docs, and we actually need to fill those in with our video SDK authentication token and our Google API key. And I'll walk you through getting both of those. The first thing we're going to do is grab our authentication token. So head over back to the browser. Let's go back to the tab where we had the dashboard open. And what you want to do is head to API keys. Back in the code, I'm going to delete this placeholder value, then paste in that key that I just copied, or that token, excuse me. Okay, cool. So the next thing we're going to take care of is our Google API key. So let's delete this, and there's actually a link to grab that in the docs. So back in the browser, let's X out of this and then go over to our quick start docs again. And if you see this sub caption right here that says API keys, get API keys. If you click on this Google API key, there's a link to go grab that in Google Studio. So I'm going to click that. And now I'm in the AI Studio. So what you want to do, of course, is click on Create API Key. I'm going to keep the same theme as Video Agent for this project. And you could choose an imported project. If you don't have one, you can easily create one with this button right here. But I have one called Gemini Live. You don't have to edit it at all. You just have to make a project to assign the key to it. Then click on Create Key. Now I'm going to copy this and head back to the code. And we can paste in our key, and we have both tokens that we need. So let's clear the terminal and keep building out this project. Back in the quick start docs, we have already taken care of these tokens. Now we need to create a requirements.txt file. These are the requirements we need for the real-time pipeline. So go ahead and copy these right here, and let's make that file in our code. Now let's head to the terminal, and really quickly, we can do the same command, touch requirements.txt. Now this is going to be a text-based file. We see that appear up in the upper right. Now let's click that and paste in what we copied. We need to make a few edits in this file though. There's actually a newer version of the video SDK agents that just dropped, which is .63. And you can do that with Google as well. And you can save the file by pressing Command S. In order to install these dependencies and have our project recognize them, we have to set up a Python virtual environment. The command you need to run is python3-m venv. What this command does is actually says we need to set up a virtual environment with the name venv. So I'm going to press enter. And now to activate it, I'm on Mac. I'm going to run source venv/bin/activate. The command is different from the Windows, and the docs show you that command. So I'm going to press enter. If you take a look at the command line, we have this venv prefix, signify that we are inside of our virtual environment. Now we can install the packages that we included in this requirements file, and you can do that by running pip install -r requirements.txt. And we can let this run. And this might take a minute or so. But what we're doing here is installing the video SDK dependencies, what we need from Google, Python virtual environment to load our API keys, and then requests for some API requests we're going to be making later. Now that we've installed the dependencies, we need to head back to the docs to actually grab our main file, which is going to set up our voice agent for us in Python. So let's scroll down a bit and we see finally create the main.py file. The script defines our agent's personality and handles the video connection to video SDK. So this is the whole file right here. You can scroll and see it's not too long. And this is the starter file in Python. So let's copy this and head back to our code. Let's clear out the terminal and write touch main.py. We see that it appeared in the upper right. This is going to be a Python file, and we can paste in what we copied. So it's about 63 lines. Let's just go through it really quickly so we have an idea of how this works. And the beauty of using an AI-powered IDE is that you can ask it for simple commands. As you see, this file came through and it's not indented as it was in the docs. So what I can do here is actually expand this, and then on Mac, press Command I, and just ask our cursor agent, please format the file with correct indents, the main.py file. I'm going to press enter, and we'll see how this file gets correctly indented by our AI agent. And we don't have to go through it line by line, pressing tab. And it's already done, and we can just press keep file in the upper right and X out this agent for now. So now we have this correctly indented, It looks a lot better, much more readable, and we can go through it. Starting at the top here, we have async IO, which is going to let us make asynchronous API requests, which don't interfere with the main process of the agent running. In simple terms, we're going to use this to help join the room. We have a traceback for error handling, and then we are importing different things from Video SDK to help with setting up the agent. Then we get into our Google plugins. We're going to be using Gemini Real-Time and Gemini Live as our main AI model, or our brain. As you can see right here, we are defining the model we want to use, or our LLM. We're using our Google API key and setting up the voice in different settings. Back up top, we're going to be using .env to load our environment variables, as well as our operating system, and then log into the terminal to check basic things about our project and make sure it's running correctly. Next, we're getting into the actual voice agent class, and here is where we define the agent's behavior and personality. So we have this initialization, and what we do inside of here is actually give our agent instructions. The basic starter instructions are: you are a helpful AI assistant that answers phone calls. Keep your responses concise and friendly. We do this so we tell the agent how to act, so it isn't just giving answers on its own. It has a guideline to follow. Then we have these two functions, on enter and on exit. Our code recognizes these two functions. It'll run on enter when we join the room and on exit when the room is closing. So on enter, when our code recognizes that we have entered the room, we are triggering the agent to say, hello, I'm your real-time assistant. How can I help you today? And then when they get sense that we are leaving the room, our agent is going to say goodbye. It was great talking with you. And there's a method called .say that we can call on session to make all this work. Scrolling down, we have the actual start session function, which sets everything up. Like I showed you previously, we set up the model, and then we have our actual pipeline. The pipeline is the way that real-time communication works in our browser. What's going to be happening is this pipeline is like a conveyor belt. You can think of it as starting with us speaking to our computer. That speech is going to get transcribed to text. That text is then going to our LLM, or our Gemini model, which will then get transcribed into speech so that we can hear it. That is the basics of the pipeline, and we are passing that pipeline into our current session so that everything will work correctly. Next, we have this block of code, which just connects us to the room, starts the session, and waits for this to happen. And then once we are done or we hang up on the call, the session will close and our context will get shut down, so we avoid any memory leaks or leaving the room open. Scrolling a bit down, we have this make context function, which sets up the room options and returns the job context, which is then called in this Python boilerplate if name is equal to main. This is called when we actually run the file, so Python main.py. We set up our options here and then set up a worker. The worker is just the running agent. We pass in our options, pass in this make context function that we just went over, then actually call the start session function to set everything up. And then finally, we kick it off with job.start. If something goes wrong, we can see what happened with this traceback. And that is the basics of this main.py file. Now that we have this main.py file in our code, we can scroll down a little bit and see what the next step is. And it says set up your environment and install dependencies, but we already took care of this, setting up our Python virtual environment and then installing our dependencies in our requirements file. Now we can actually start our agent by running our script with this basic Python main.py command. This is actually going to run our main.py file that we pasted and indented in our code. And there's an animation here that shows what should happen once we run this command. You'll see that there's going to be logs. Check the status and health of our agent showing up just like so. And it's important we keep this terminal window open so that our agent can accept connections. So let's head back to our code and run our main.py file. So let's extend the terminal upwards and then type in python3 main.py. And I'm going to click enter. And it's going to take about 10 or 20 seconds for the logs to show up. And they're starting to show up. We can see that the connection loop has started and worker initialized successfully. So we're getting all success signs. Nice. So we can cancel this for now. And now it's time we actually set up the connection to our phone network so we can call our agent and speak to it over the phone. So let's clear this out and head back to the docs to see what's next. Scroll down to the docs and we see part 2, connect your agent to the phone network. Without your agent running locally, it's time to connect it to the outside world. So we must set up the gateways and routing rules in our Video SDK dashboard. Cool. So we're going to configure something called an inbound gateway, which says right here is the entry point for calls coming to Video SDK. Once we set this up, we'll be able to call a number. That number will point to our agent, and our agent will be able to speak to us. But before we set up the inbound gateway, we need to get a phone number to attach to our agent. And Video SDK actually recently dropped a feature where you can buy this phone number right in the dashboard, use that for our agent. So we don't have to go to a third-party service like Twilio, buy it there, set up the rules, and then come back to here. We can just buy one of the phone numbers that Video SDK offers, and it is very cheap to do so. We're going to go to the Video SDK dashboard, in which there is a link for right here. And I'll walk you through how to actually get this number. And it is very simple to do so. It takes about 1 minute. So head over to telephony on the left-hand side and click on phone numbers. As you can see here, it says beta because this is a newer feature, like I mentioned. Click on phone numbers. And then we're going to click on buy a number. And we have all these options to choose from. It'll also show you the locality for some, as well as the postal code. So let's say, for instance, I wanted to buy this one from Spring Lake. I'm not sure where that is in the United States. I'll pick this one just for example. I'm going to click buy right here, and it'll be $5 per month, but this is very cheap considering you're not going to have to purchase this number from a third-party provider. So I'm going to go ahead and click confirm, and you will have to fill in your card details. I've already done that. And we can see here, this phone number is now showing up in my list of phone numbers. So now that we have this number, this 848 number is the number that I'm going to call from my personal phone to speak with our voice agent. And if you go back to the docs, it says we need to configure an inbound gateway because this is the entry point for calls coming into Video SDK. Meaning if we call the number I purchased, this is what will connect our call to our agent. But as you can see, if we go to inbound gateway right here, once we purchase a number natively in Video SDK, it automatically makes an inbound gateway for us. But the way our phone number will know to actually use our code as the voice agent is by matching the name. In the last chunk of code, the agent ID is my telephony agent. So we need to set something called a routing rule until our running agent will have the name my telephony agent. So we're going to run the script, and that'll be our worker. We connect our worker to our phone number through the agent ID, and we're going to do that in the dashboard right now. And if we scroll down a little bit past this inbound gateway section and past outbound gateway, because our agent is not going to be making outbound calls to any phone numbers, we are going to be the ones calling it. We see routing rule. A routing rule acts as a switchboard connecting your gateways to your agent. This is where the magic happens. So the gateway and routing rule work together to link our phone number to our running script. And there's some steps here for creating this routing rule, but I'll show you how to do it step by step. So back in routing rules, in this telephony menu, we're going to click on create new routing rule. For simplicity, I'm going to call this Python agent. And then we want to select the direction, which is going to be inbound. Next, of course, we're going to select the gateway. You can just choose Twilio inbound gateway. And for the phone number, pick the phone number that you purchased. The API key, of course, is already going to be set to the one that you made at the beginning of this video. Next, you can leave the room configuration in optional settings as is. For this, the room is going to be dynamic because we're going to be creating it on the fly as well as deleting it. And then for the optional settings, this is irrelevant to us right now. The one thing we do have to edit though is the agent configuration. So we're going to have this agent be self-hosted because we're going to run a Python script. And as you can remember in the code when I showed you, the name of our agent was my telephony agent. And this is the step I was talking about where we will connect our phone number to our script because we told it the agent ID that it is looking for. And what the routing rule does is it will successfully locate our agent running and connect that to our phone number. So that when we call the phone number that we purchased, we will talk to our agent. You can consider this as the bridge from our code to our phone number. When we're pretty much done with the routing rule, we can just click create routing rules gateway and wait for it to be done. All right, now we have that all set up. We have the name, the direction type, which is inbound, gateway ID, and the phone number that it is connected to. Now we are ready to go and we can test this. What we're going to do is run our Python script and actually call this number that we bought and see if the agent picks up. Let's head back to the code to run our script. So back in our code, let's run this file with the same command that we used earlier, which is python3 main.py. And what this is going to do again is it's going to run this script for us and set up our agent as a worker so that it's readily available and it's going to get recognized once we call our number by the routing rule we set up. So let's press enter. And you can see here, the worker is initialized successfully. Registered with the backend just means it's up and running. Now let's test this. And what I'm going to do is run this file with python3 main.py. And I have my personal phone. And what I'm going to do is call the number that I just purchased from Video SDK. And what should happen is when I call this number, our agent will be speaking to us. So as we can see here, the worker is registered and I'm going to go ahead and call this number. We can see the task is being executed. It got the call. And in a ring or two, we should be speaking with our agent.
I'm assistant. How can I help you today?
Hi there. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
I'm an AI assistant designed to help manage your calls for you.
Awesome. And can you tell me a joke?
Sure. What's a ghost's favorite dessert? Ice cream.
Interesting. And can you tell me a fun fact about California?
California is the most populous state in the United States.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anything else I can help you with?
All right, so now I'm just going to hang up the call because our agent was able to speak with us successfully. And we see here in the logs that I left, we also got some new logs. And don't worry, this is just because I hung up. You see the room was cleaned up and there's a bit of an error, but that's fine. So now we have confirmed that we can speak to our agent on the phone. I'm going to go ahead and quit our script by running Control C, and we can clear this out and continue building out our AI avatar agent. The next thing we're going to do is add something called an AI avatar. In simple terms, this just means we're going to add a face to our AI agent. So it'll be almost like we're speaking to our AI agent in a FaceTime type of setting. What's going to happen is when we run that command Python main.py, in the terminal, once we call our agent, Video SDK makes a room which has its own URL. And if we click that URL, we'll be able to speak with our agent in the browser and see its face lip syncing to what it's saying. So while we can speak to our agent on our phone, we'll also be able to view it in a completely different interface from the browser. So once again, what's going to happen is we'll run this script, call our agent, and then taking the URL that shows up in the terminal logs, we will view that on our browser, see and check that our AI avatar agent is working. This is very helpful because it makes it feel more like a human-like interaction, and it is very simple and easy to do. For this, we're going to be using avatars from Anam AI. They're very easy to implement with Video SDK, and I'll show you exactly how to do so. Let's head to the browser right now so we can create an account and grab our API key. Back in the browser, what you want to do is head over to the website Anim.ai, and you'll be brought to this landing page and click on either sign up or log in. You can create an account for free, and their free tier provides a good amount of credits, which is really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and log in since I already have an account. Now we're logged in, and what you want to do right now is grab your API key. So on the left-hand side at the bottom, click on API key. I'm going to click on Create New API Key in the upper right, and let's give this a label, Video SDK, and click on Create. Now I'm going to copy this and head over to my code. Let's add this to our environment file. So let's go to the .env file right here, and I'm going to type in Anam_API_key, and then just paste in that key that you copied. Now that we have it in our environment file, what we need to do next is install the Anim dependencies. And we're going to do this a little bit differently than just running one command. We're actually going to edit our requirements.txt file. So I'm going to click on that. So we're actually going to make 3 edits to this file. What you want to do is below the Google plugin line, you can just copy exactly what we have up here and then paste that in like so. And then change Google to Anam. Oops. Like this. And the packages are constantly updating. So instead of 63, we're going to be using 65 for all of them. And then we also need to change the .env package to 1.2. This is because the integration has a specific set of dependencies in order to work together. So now that we have this, we're going to run pip install -r requirements.txt to install all the requirements we have listed in this text file. And this should work. For me, I already downloaded it, so it was a bit quicker, but it might take closer to 10 seconds. Now that I have the dependencies installed, I'm going to go ahead and clear the terminal and begin working on the implementation in main.py. Now, this is very easy to do. Firstly, we're going to need to import. So we can go right here, right below line 12, and we're going to write in from video SDK plugins.anim import anim avatar. You don't need anim config. You just need the anim avatar object. All right, so let's scroll down, and now we actually need to initialize our avatar. And for this, we're going to need to choose the avatar that we want to see on our screen. Let's head over to the browser and grab the face ID. We were in API keys, but now we want to go over to build. And then what you can do from here is actually click on avatar, and then you can select any avatar you'd like from these list of pre-existing avatars. I'm going to go ahead and use Mia for this tutorial, and you can switch around with the model version. So for instance, I can use Kara 2 instead of Kara 3. Now what I'm going to do is click these dots in the upper right and click on copy ID. And this is what we're going to paste in our code. So let's head back. Back in the .env, we're going to write in anim_avatar_ID and then paste in that value that we just copied. Oh, looks like I misspelled it. Okay, but we're good to go to initialize the avatar. So back in main.py, we're going to be doing that right after we initialize the model and we set up the pipeline. So right here around line 47 is what you're going to paste. You're just going to paste in this. You can pause the video right here and write this in. It's very short. It's just an anim avatar variable using the anim avatar object. And we are plugging in our API key and avatar ID from our environment using the getEnv method. So this is the very simple way we set up our avatar. And the way we actually include it on the call is by making sure it's passed as a parameter in this real-time pipeline object. So what we're going to do is write a comma and then write avatar is equal to anim avatar, just like that. We're almost completely done here, but we need to make some small changes. So instead of this Gemini 2.0 Flash experimental model, we're going to use this model right here, the 2.5 Flash native audio preview from December 2025. And the reason we're switching to 2.5 Flash is because this model is built specifically for real-time voice. It sounds more natural and handles audio natively instead of converting back and forth between text and speech. And what's nice is it's still free tier on Google AI Studio. All right, and that's all the code we need. Let's test it out. I'm going to run the script, call the phone number, and open the playground URL in my browser so we can see the avatar in action. So like always, we're going to run Python 3 main.py, and I'll make sure this is up and running before I actually call the agent. And okay, our worker is registered. Now let me pull up my personal phone. Now I'm going to dial my agent. And let's see if it picks up.
Hello, I'm your real-time assistant. How can I help you today?
Hi there, can you just tell me a joke, please?
Sure. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything.
That's funny. And can you tell me a fun fact about California?
Did you know California has both the highest and lowest points in the contiguous United States?
All right, so I'm still muted, but now what I'm going to do is actually click on this link and go to the browser and see if our AI avatar pops up. So I'm going to press Command click. And this link comes up and I'm going to click Connect Agent. Okay, so make sure I'm muted. Nice. Can you just tell me a joke?
Sure. Why don't scientists trust atoms?
I don't know why.
Because they make up everything.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Can you tell me a fun fact about New York?
Sure. The Statue of Liberty was a gift from France and was originally a dull copper color before it turned green over time.
Got it. And my last question would be, can you define machine learning in simple terms for me because I'm a beginner?
Machine learning is like a computer that learns from experience. It identifies patterns to make predictions or decisions without being explicitly programmed.
Okay, so now I'm muted, but that was me speaking to my agent in the actual browser. Now I started off calling it on my phone, but what I did is I muted my phone and I can just speak with it in this interface. I can see everything that's being said. So that's really nice. And we are all done, and that is our project. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and comment, and let me know what you'd like to see next in the comments. See you guys in the next video.